everybody. Happy Tuesday. Okay, I was just making sure. For some reason, my microphone has been giving me issues lately, but I think it's fine. Okay, cool. Thanks for hopping on here again. Another week of the Taking Imperfect Action. If you guys would, if you're watching, put a comment in the chat, say hello. I would love to do Q&A. That'd be fun if I could get some questions to be answered. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a little bit of a deal breakdown, more so story time. One of my favorite things about doing deals, being in real estate, is the stories, right? The stories are so fascinating. A lot of them are unique, a lot are very similar, but the story and the seller and in a lot of our deals, the agents that we're helping is what makes it such a great deal. Not only are we maybe getting a 3% interest rate, but we're really helping to solve the agent and the seller's problems. And I think that it's looking like that is going to start. I think that it has for the past 6 months or so, but I think it may start amplifying the amount of on-market creative deals that there are, just considering the state of the market. Everything is slowing down quite a bit. Interest rates are raising, and I think that creative finance is going to be a much needed solution. So, I know that we're told to ask about the seller's issues or find out more in sales calls for the sake of the deal, but it is really, really important to figure out what's going on there and to figure out what problem you're solving, more so with, I think with anything, right? Even with wholesale cash deals, yeah, the seller might be taking a little bit lower price than what they could get on the market, but you are solving a problem of most likely convenience and speed. So when investors come to play, there is always a problem to be solved, whether that's with a fast cash deal or whether that's with creative finance. So I just want to chat about some of the stories of deals that I've been a part of. My favorite, maybe second favorite, first or second, but this closed, I can't really remember. I guess a month ago, maybe a little less than a month ago. And this story, I did post it on my Instagram. So some of you guys may have already heard the story. This seller had the house on the market and listed with an agent on the market for a while. One of our team members reached out. I think that she reached out to the seller first. I can't really remember why, but she had reached out to the seller. And the seller seemed to be on board with the creative. But when all of this was brought up to the agent was not impressed, did not like it, talked the seller out of it. And I think that agent specifically, okay, I froze for a minute. I think that agent specifically thinks that Subto is illegal. And so whatever, we continue to follow up. It went off the market. The seller decided to rent out the property. And let me think. I think it was rented out for maybe 6 months. And I gave the seller a call directly. And usually with creative finance, it takes several calls to get it done. I think it only took 2 calls to get this done. Me and the seller built a lot of rapport pretty quickly, and he was obviously already had an idea of what seller finance was. And so, I just re-brought it to his attention. We spoke about why this may be a benefit to him more so now. He was really, really drained. So the seller's bunnies or motivation was it didn't sell in the market, sat in the market for months and months without selling. He then turned it into a rental after moving out of state and didn't he did not like his property manager. Was not a fan of her like at all, had nothing nice to say about her. And then he was also not a fan of the tenants. I just don't think that he is really built for the landlord life. He thought that they were too whiny and asked for too much all the time. So he just didn't have any patience to see that through. He was tired of it. His wife was going through some medical issues and they really needed money anyway. So he was like, I don't think this is a bad deal at all. I think this is actually a good idea for me. And so we talked it through. And like I said, after 2 phone calls, he agreed it was the best solution for him. So we put what money I actually think that he asked for a little bit more than what we could give him, but we ended up agreeing on a number. He was good with that. If he could just walk away and not have to deal with it anymore. And so we agreed to keep the tenants in place, carry on so he didn't have to be a landlord anymore, get him paid, and he canceled the property management, so we didn't have to take that on. And anyway, so it's just goes to show that, for one, follow-up is extremely important. It was about a year total of following up with this property, the seller, to finally get something moving forward. Even after we agreed to everything, I can't even remember why, but it took a long time for him to even sign the contract. Like a month, I want to say. Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but it took him a long time to sign. I can't remember why. I think that his wife was in the hospital maybe. So we agreed to everything, and then we took forever to get the contract signed. Finally got it signed, and then multiple things happened throughout the closing process that delayed us. I think we were delayed like a month or 2 total on this thing. And so there's a few different things there, right? For one, a lot of people that are newer to real estate don't realize that things happen throughout the closing process. I think that it's more common for deals to get pushed back than it is for deals to close on time. There's so many different parties involved. There's so many different moving parts. So, and that can look different for every transaction, but I have a traditional transaction that is my listing right now, and we've gotten pushed back 4 times from the closing date. Stuff just keeps popping up. We have an inspector involved, a lender involved, 2 agents involved, a title company involved, and 2 appraisers for this one, which is a whole other thing, but 2 appraisers involved. So there's so many different parties and so many boxes that have to be checked, whether it's traditional or even creative, when, you're having to do due diligence. There's tenants involved. There's property management involved. There's maybe some random liens that pop up. There's all these things that can happen. And in real estate, you have to be okay with things changing, with closing dates being extremely fluid, and just be willing to pivot and figure it out as you go. Sometimes closing can be a lot harder than getting the actual deal locked up. So anyways, after we got this contract, it took a while. So all in all, from start to finish, I think it was about a year of going after this house. It was about a 3% interest rate, had tenants already in place. It was cash flowing a little bit. I don't think it was cash flowing a ton. But anyway, great interest rate, great entry fee, all in all, great deal. But it took a lot of follow-up. And I will say that sometimes I think it's really helpful to either be a part of a team or have someone that you can reach out to help you get through things, because sometimes sellers take to other people better than you maybe, or they take to you better than they take to other people. And I think it's just a personality thing. The seller maybe had a harder time connecting with other people, and then him and I hit it off right off the bat and built a great relationship. So for whatever reason, there might not even be a solid reason. Sometimes you just don't vibe with people. Sometimes it's hard to build rapport and your personalities clash. So it is helpful. Don't be scared to bring people in on your deal. At the end of the day, if you can bring them in and they can get it done and you can split it or whatever, then it's worth doing that. Then, it's worth getting something rather than $0. So there were so many lessons in that deal, a lot of patience in that deal. Don't quit following up, especially when there is an agent involved. I think that agent had actually started ghosting and never really gave a real answer as to why they weren't moving forward with us. And that's just how it goes. Agents have their walls up a ton. They tend to be super sketched out about stuff that they haven't heard about before. And, maybe they're trying to protect their sellers. Maybe they just aren't educated. I don't know. But at the end of the day, just because the agent has said no, just because you've heard no once or twice, 3 times, don't stop following up. A lot of times that means no for now, not no always. So once that agent was out of the picture, once that seller felt the pain of, he wasn't cash flowing because of the property manager in place. So he was feeling that pain. He was feeling the pain of being annoyed by the property manager. He was feeling the pain of being annoyed by the tenants. He was feeling the pain of needing cash in his pocket. He didn't ever want to be a landlord. He didn't ever want to own this house. So you give it time for all that pain to stack up. People start to consider things that maybe they didn't consider a few months ago, because now it hurts more. Now they really are pressed to find a solution. So that's one reason not to follow up. And when it's on market, once that agent's out of the picture and not in that seller's ear, maybe telling them things that are not true, then it can be a lot easier just for you to talk to the seller directly. I like that a lot. I'm constantly keeping my eyes open for ones where the agent is really rude or is like, I would never tell my seller to do this. And I can just tell that they either not presenting at all or just saying really ugly things about it to the seller. And then I can call the seller once that listing did not sell, because a lot of times it doesn't when you have an agent that is super closed off and closed-minded like that. Call the seller, and then that gives you an opportunity to talk to them directly and explain your side of things. So anyways, it worked out really well in that situation. Hopefully that's encouraging. I know maybe it doesn't sound super encouraging to say, hey, you have to follow up for a year, but if you're in this business for the long run and if you have systems and processes in place, then it's just part of it. Again, I know that I said this in the beginning, that was 20 minutes ago, so I'm just going to re-say it. If you're watching, please throw a comment in the chat. Please say hi. If you have any questions, I would love to answer some questions. I am not doing calls today. I'm just telling a little bit about stories, golden nuggets from deals we've done, and hopefully to, if anything, just provide encouragement, give some tips, and let you know. A lot of people just don't know. I get the question, I see the question a lot, why do sellers do Subto, right? So I think this just gives some background on to why these sellers do see this as a good solution. For that one in particular that I was just talking about, that seller, he did sit on the market for a long time, and the price he wanted was already not netting him very much, so he couldn't drop it really, and it was already proven that he was listed above what buyers were willing to pay. So with us, he could get the money he wanted and not have to go through the heartache of putting it back on the market and asking too much. Okay. I'm gonna tell a story. We actually have not closed this deal. This deal didn't end up working out for us, but it does have a good story. Um, it does have a good story as to why we always say to when it comes to agent outreach specifically to focus on the relationship and not the house. So whenever you're making calls, yes, you are asking about the house, right? Yes, you are calling about that listing, but you need to be more focused on building rapport, getting that agent to like you, getting that agent to understand what your goals are and how you can help them. And, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that are in real estate that there's been some uprising about buyer agent commission and how realtors get paid and all that good jazz. So, it is going to, at least I think that we're all hoping that it entices agents to want to work with investors more and not be so closed off to the idea of working with investor. So, focusing on the relationship, focusing on the rapport, what value are you bringing to that agent? Why would they want to work with you? And a mistake that I do see, which is kind of interesting to me, is that when someone is presenting creative to an agent and the agent either, maybe they get a little snappy, maybe they don't understand, maybe they don't want to present it, and that person, the investor, snaps back at the agent and gets rude and says unprofessional things or says things in an unprofessional manner. That is not the way to go about it. I really don't like when I see that. I think that, I get that it can be kind of hard to maybe not get a little bit of attitude. I know that I've probably fallen victim to that before, but you have to remember that I think that they're lashing out because, no, don't get me wrong, some are just knuckleheads and you don't want to waste the time. But sometimes, from what I've seen, is they just haven't been explained to correctly, or they've talked to investors that don't know what they're saying and maybe make them feel a little sketched out. So they're giving you that attitude based on their past experiences. So if you can keep your professionalism and really articulate well, explain better, help them to feel more at ease and to feel like you are someone that they can trust and someone that they can go to when they have problems with their listings or, whatever properties they're coming across, then that can go a long way. So remaining positive even when they might give you some snapback. Keep calm and collected. Keep pursuing what the goal of the conversation was, and it can go a long way. I had this agent that I had maybe 2 or 3 phone calls with her, and it was all good. She wasn't super rude, but I could tell that maybe she was a little on edge and had been dealing with some people that couldn't help her understand why this was a benefit to sellers. And so we had a couple conversations. I submitted an offer on one of her listings. I don't remember why, but whatever reason, that offer wasn't going to work for those sellers. But kept it cool, calm, and collected. No problem. Please keep us as a solution. I'll continue to follow up, blah, blah, blah. If you have anything else, let me know. That's something that I'm constantly saying to agents, whether or not the listing is good, the listing I'm calling on is good or not. I'm always adding in there, do you have anything else? If you have anything else, send it to me. Believe it or not, agents don't think to send you stuff unless you ask for it. So always ask for it. And anyway, so I did with that agent, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I get a random call from her. I answer it, and she starts telling me how she has another listing that she thinks Subto would be perfect for, and that she had already kind of pitched Subto to the sellers and they were open to it, and she wanted to see if I was interested in it. So it's about leaving that good impression. If I wouldn't have left a good impression, or if I would have got snappy whenever she told me it wasn't going to work for the other listing and kind of rubbed her the wrong way, she would have never called me. So you always want to present yourself as professional as possible, and remember that you're trying to build that relationship. So if this listing does not work out, there will be a listing that comes down the road that he or she will bring you, and you can get that one closed. So that was really a good reminder to me once she called me that just because you might feel like you wasted your time on that one listing, that doesn't really mean you did, because you were worried about the relationship, and things do come from that. Hopefully that helps someone, because that was a really, really good reminder for me. Okay. Trying to see what other stories I can think of right now. I will say that I'm looking at 2 that we've closed, and those did come from, hold on. For anyone that knows me personally, I love coffee so much, and I drink coffee as soon as I wake up in the morning and probably have like 2 or 3 cups a day. Love it, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff about how maybe it's not the best for you. So for the past over a week now, I haven't drank any coffee. I switched to tea. And anyway, I'm a little proud moment of myself. But anyway, so quite a few deals that we do get, and to me, the most motivated sellers are the ones that are either in pre-foreclosure or they're headed there. Subto is really, really an amazing option for them, because we can catch up those arrears, we can take that mortgage payment out of their hands and keep foreclosure from going on to their record. So it really does set them up for success, and I see a lot of our leads come from that. Even they might not be in foreclosure, but sellers that have missed 1 to 3 payments and are headed that way, they I feel like once you get probably 2-3 payments behind, it's highly unlikely that you're going to catch that up. So foreclosure sucks, and it can tarnish your record for 7 years. And if you can have someone come in, catch up all your stuff, and start making that payment for you to make your credit look better and save your record, then that's obviously the best route in many, many scenarios. So a lot of deals do come from that. On market ones, a lot of agents specialize in helping people, more so short sales. I think a lot of agents specialize in doing short sales, which can still tarnish the seller's record. So you can say, hey, I do have another solution, and let them know how that would go down. So when they get all these short sale listings coming through, they have you in their pocket to hand you off the ones that may work. We did have one. I've also told this story on my Instagram about the deal we got that was 0 down. There was no fees involved. We did assign it, so there was an assignment fee. That was it. There was no realtor commission, no cash to seller at all. The seller was obviously in a lot of pain. They had listed on the market for a while, was not selling. I don't think that she was behind on payments yet, but she was on the brink of not being able to make the payment anymore. So she was basically begging us, please help me, just do something. I just need to get out of here, before I start missing payments. And so she, from what I remember, this was her first house, and it was a pretty big house, pretty big yard, and I think that it was just more than what she thought she signed up for in terms of maintenance and what it costs to actually, keep a house in good shape and keep everything running. So just got in over her head, and then the house wouldn't sell on the traditional market. So she was like, I don't even need anything. Just please start making these payments, take it over so I can go move into a small apartment. So in that scenario, it worked out to where she really just needed the mortgage out of her hand. She didn't really need the money in her pocket. She just needed this payment to be gone, and her taking care of the house. She needed to stop doing that. So when you can come in and offer, okay, I can let you go free and clear. You don't have to sit on the market anymore. I'll just take over your payments and you can get out of here. She was beyond grateful for that solution, and it really did work out for everyone. I can't remember what the interest rate was on that one. It was pretty low though, probably like 3 or 4%. But yeah, that's why she was okay with taking $0. There was a high amount of pain there. But all right, guys, hopefully those stories enlightened you, showed you why creative things or why the sellers end up choosing to go the creative routes, what kind of pain is there, why follow-up is so important, why agent relationships are so important. And that's all I have for today. I will be back on Thursday doing the Not So Jaded podcast at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. In the meantime, as always, if you guys need any help with deals, there's my link in here. If you ever need help closing a deal, you need help structuring it, you just need, that guidance throughout it, whether it be cash or creative, please let me know. Would love to help JV with you and get some deals done. You can also always DM me on Instagram. That's typically where I respond the fastest. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in a few days.